Hello, today I have a message called You Can Trust Fully, and here is the short version. Everyone can become so helpful. You can trust fully in what is real about your divine siblings and dismiss as unreal everything else that you have projected upon them. There are no exceptions in helpfulness. Don't assume that you should have skills and abilities that it seems you don't have yet. The orchestration of spirit is trustworthy. Okay, so everyone can become so helpful. Everyone is so helpful, but in my sight, they might not look helpful. For example, someone keeps coming to mind today, and I understand I have a judgment against this one, against the person. I'm not looking at the spirit, I'm looking at the flesh. And it's not even a major thing. It seems to be so subtle, and yet the person, really the being, keeps coming to mind this morning. So what I can see, if I go slowly with it, and if I see this one as invited to mind rather than intrusive, this one just keeps popping in. If I see this one as invited to mind, I can just see the sameness. I can see that being is helpful, and there is a surface to that being, and the ego might judge that surface either positively or negatively. Both are painful, which is a funny thing to see. But if I judge one especially positive, another one over there is going to pop up to seem to cause me pain. And if I find special value in the one in front of me, so I'm very positive, I'm going to find special lack of value in myself, and then try to extract the value from that other one, and it's going to be a mess. The same mess it's always been in relationship. So when this one comes to mind, no matter how small a part this one seems to play in my day-to-day life, it's important, because how I see you is how I see that one, is how I see everyone, is how I see myself, is how I see God. So if I'm seeing this as intrusive, this one keeps coming to mind, but then I think God is intrusive, or the helpfulness of the universe is intrusive, because it's all one piece, but I treat it like different pieces. So this one keeps coming to mind, and I can see that being is helpful and always has been helpful. And I can look at any judgments the ego is laying upon that one, either positive or negative. The being doesn't need any excuses, the being doesn't need any building up, the being just is, and the being is very beautiful. And it has nothing to do with the body. We're not talking body beautiful. The being is, the light of the being is very beautiful. So we can practice this. And if you just keep inviting the being, I'd like to see the being. I want to drop what I don't need and see what is here. You begin to, I use the word see, but it's not even seeing in my mind's eye. Maybe little glimmers of it. It's like a recognition and an awareness, a presence. It might take the shape of a symbol in your mind's eye. But you just remember very deeply how beautiful the being is, and you remember very deeply how meaningless anything relative, either better or worse, the ego would lay upon their being and block your sight of it. And ego is what I invented. I take responsibility for it. It's not imposed upon me in any way. I have to take responsibility to stay in my power and share that power with you and everyone. So everyone can become so helpful, whether you seem to be with them physically, which I still find very distracting, or whether they seem to come to mind, which I seem to find much easier because it feels less intense. You can just pause and appreciate the being, and that is very powerful. It affects what we perceive as the future. And I don't think I'm supposed to go any further with that. This is another one of those points where when I say it affects what we perceive as the future, I get like excited and happy, and I want to burst with telling you something, but I don't know quite what it is. And there's like a little door in front of me, and they're just kind of like Not yet. Don't go there yet. It's important not to go there yet. It's important to stay here and to want to see that being as that being is, and to just know it's a very beautiful thing, and that's enough. It's like a horse being held back or something. But I just want to tell you what a beautiful, I can't even say the words. Anyhow, it's good. Could I just say that? It's good. Okay. Everyone can become so helpful, so we don't have to make any exceptions. So whatever the ego has tossed upon someone, I became aware of a story this morning that Elon Musk had, people are saying the position of his arm was a Nazi salute. Okay, so my ego tossed that upon him, right? Because I'm in a world where things seem to happen, and that's something I can superimpose upon that one's being. But are we tired of being fooled yet? Do we want to look through whatever my ego decided to toss out on him? Either a very positive thing, he's better than somebody else, or a very negative thing. And the thing when I thought of a very positive thing is some people might say, he's here to save us. Well, everyone is here to save us, so that's not untrue, but it's also true of everyone, and there aren't any exceptions. So everyone can become so helpful is because every being is helpful, and every being is equally helpful in their beingness right now, and everyone is our Savior. Everyone saves us from the misapprehension, the misperception. When we become willing to see them as they are, we become willing to remember ourselves and everyone we call else as they are. And this saves us. Their very beingness, which we share, and everyone shares, the remembrance of this saves us from this fictional situation we've imposed upon ourselves. Okay. I'm becoming judgy. I'm going to expose it, because the last time I did this, it was a nice short recording. I'm judgmental about time, and I see I'm already up to over 7 minutes, and I'm judging this up one side and down the other. So I want to take a minute to expose it and let it go. It seems better if I can just dart in and dart out and say something relatively quickly and not believe that I'm droning on and on and on. So I'll just expose that, take a moment to reorient, and move on. Okay. All right. Today, the lesson I'm focusing on from A Course in Miracles is I am determined to see things differently. So I am determined to see recordings differently. I am determined to see speaking differently. I am determined to see lengths of time differently. All of that. Because let it be whatever it's supposed to be. Whether I never do this again or whether I seem to do it more or longer, let it be what it's supposed to be. What's most helpful. Okay. You can trust fully in what is real about your divine siblings and dismiss as unreal everything else that you have projected upon them. So for some reason, the idea from A Course in Miracles that the range of ego is suspiciousness to viciousness has come up for me a bunch lately, the reminder. And so the ego, whether it's disguising its range of suspicion to viciousness, is going to, it can disguise it with positivity, but it's still never going to, it's going to try to extract from a person, but it's never going to trust or acknowledge the being, the actual being that's connected to everyone and everything. Yes, we all do love each other already. That's already in place. They can't be changed. And can glimmers of this reach us? Definitely. But we've covered up this actual love amongst us all with the fake love of extraction and actual accusation. It's funny, if I set you apart from someone else and I say you're more or less this or that, I'm accusing you, even if it's a positive thing. Like if I say you're the best and nicest person, I'm accusing you. It's weird the way accusing is being. I'll just used right now. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know what sense to make of it. But projection gets shown to me in a lot of ways from a lot of different angles, whatever spirit can pick up and use in my mind, so I can just see it and understand it's not 99% insane. Projection isn't 99% insane. It's 100% insane. It's really crazy. And it covers up what everybody is. And it covers up their true helpfulness, and it assigns to them a fake helpfulness. And then I try to avoid, if ego has labeled you as unhelpful, I try to avoid, and if ego has labeled you as helpful, ego would guide me to attempt to extract from you in some way to get. So crazy. We don't want to follow that. And there's another teacher here for all of us. Thank goodness. So where was I? You can trust fully in what is real about your divine siblings. That would be all of us. And what is real about all of us is the same real thing. Our nature that we share. Underneath, when ego's slopping on top of us all in perception, is our nature is love. Our nature is truth. Our nature is peace. Our nature is sanity. We are worthy together. So we are loved together. We are harmonious together. Everything we are depends on together. We are worthy together. We are inspired and guided together. As one piece, I can see the spark of where one accepts guidance that flows to everyone in some tiny way. So these shifts and shifts and shifts and shifts as we shift toward what is real. It's very, important, significant, helpful. I'm trying to find the right word here. And we can dismiss as unreal everything else that we've projected upon them. So it's like, now it's time to grow up and see anything I see on you that differentiates you positively or negatively is what I've projected. I've tried to make you different, and you're not. That being said, any perceived differences Spirit can use on our way out, on our way out of the hallucination. So instead of putting myself in charge of analyzing or attempting to use or attempting to take advantage of any perceived differences amongst us, I just let Spirit know how everybody sees things and be in charge of how everybody sees things. We just let what we are together be in charge. We just let the sanity we share and always will share and always have shared, we just let that be in charge. There are no exceptions in helpfulness. So I can feel where I'm making an exception. Where an intrusive, not good feeling comes in, I am seeing something or someone as unhelpful. And that's where I need help. And it can seem that am I supposed to talk about this? Let me check in. I think. Okay. It can seem that we enter these plateau periods where it seems like we've entered into a new way of seeing, and it seems that requires some adjustment, and just I guess what's being called for is patience, because the ways we've been showing up in relationship, the ways that are not sustainable. I just noticed the mic is pointed away from me. Sorry if there's noise as I readjust it. Yeah, I'm going to pause and readjust it. So the ways we've been showing up in relationship, if that has not been helpful, we get readjusted, and sometimes there's like a break or a pause in our after a long pause in our ways of responding and seeing, and just to be patient while everything gets readjusted. I just see like dials and fine-tuning, and as we learn to listen to what's actually here and be guided by what's actually here, and not judge yourself as not being there for someone, or not judge them as not being there for you. If we recognize we all go through these periods of adjustment, and it's okay. We're all led together, and we all have guidance, no matter what. Okay, there are no exceptions in helpfulness. So seeing the ones in our lives who seem to be irritants as helpful, that doesn't mean we have to force action. It doesn't mean we have to force action that looks ideal, or that looks nice, or anything like that. How we begin to see one another determines what we seem to do with one another. So the importance here is let your seeing of them be adjusted, and then your doing regarding them is automatically adjusted and is not an efforting thing. Let the efforting be directed to your willingness to enter into a moment of willingness to see them as they are, to see their helpfulness without forcing behavior. Just let the behavior come. Okay, don't assume that you should have skills and abilities that it seems you don't have yet. And there was something, I wanted to say weird, that seems judgmental, I don't know, different about that statement when it came in, and I understood there's something I'm not seeing. I was a little nervous about it because I thought, I don't know what that means. How am I supposed to talk about it? It's about a sharing of skills and abilities. I'm just checking in to see if I'm supposed to talk about it, because it seems so far ahead that I don't know. I'm questioning, why would I talk about this now? It seems like it's far ahead. And the answer I get is, it's not as far ahead as you think it is. You wouldn't have been given this to talk about if it isn't relevant right now. Okay, and then I have to trust. Okay, so we have an idea that we acquire skills and abilities on a timeline, and then the ego can use those skills and abilities to further the separate self trying to get recognized, approved of, gathering followers or friends or people who approve of it, to itself. And okay, that's the old thing. Now, why am I so afraid to say this? I'm afraid to be wrong. I'm afraid for it to suddenly look different, or for it to not suddenly look different, and to be wrong, because I feel like I've been wrong thousands of times before when it comes to something like this. This would be referring to lifetimes we'd see as other. Not that you have to believe in that, you don't. It's just a metaphorical lens that gets used with me. So I'm just trying to take a moment to get past this resistance. Okay, it's about the granting of skills and abilities. Why would I be so afraid of a skill and ability showing up suddenly without the fiction of my having to work for it, to work along a timeline and then attain it? It has to do with this. And all of those skills and abilities can be used in the service of our remembering each other and our relaxing into the pathway that's opened up for us. So there's fear associated with that. It's like afraid to let go of the old, which seemed safe. If you pretend there's a timeline, and you pretend because you would get killed. That's why. All right, just dismiss this entire chunk if Spirit does not use the idea of other life metaphors with you, because you don't need it. But for some reason, this metaphor does get used with me. And I'll just have to leave it at that. So let's say in other lifetimes, the second I showed up as possessing or doing something unusual, that's it. They put you in jail or they kill you, because they can't stand it they can't stand it. It seems like it's in such contrast to what their reliable everyday experience was, that if you show up in some different, very noticeably different way, having skills and abilities, they just kill the body. So what's the point? Why even try? Why even do it? But this is different this time. This time it's not like that. It's something about it is having our heads on straighter, that we share everything as we gain everything. So there's this, I'm still not comfortable talking about something I don't understand, but oh well. As you're granted skills and abilities that Spirit can use, those skills and abilities are also shared with everyone. Maybe not the exact same ones, maybe not right away, but there's this very, I want to say very huge, I want to say enormous, but it's not big enough. It's not big enough. There's this enormous, expansive sharing, and the fear comes up when I say the word expansive, of skills and abilities that Spirit can use, and it's perfectly fine, and it's very gently put together, and it's totally supported, and it's nothing to fear. And the part that I find most comforting about it is the sharing, because then if you don't stand out, you don't get crucified. They can't find you. See how I'm thinking there's a they coming after me? They can't find you in the crowd and pull you out and kill the body. That was me doing it every time, right? If you're everyone and you're making your own play and you're puppeting everyone, it doesn't mean I'm puppeting you or you're puppeting me. We're one being, so we don't get that part yet, but they can try to show us. It's not going to be the same. It's not like you can be pulled out of a crowd and crucified. It's not like that. And we made all of that up anyhow. We have to get out of the victim lens that it happened to us. We made it happen to us. This is different. This is a huge, enormous sharing and unfolding. And I think that's as far as I can go with it. I knew I didn't like this statement when it came through, because the ego doesn't think it gets it or understands it, so it doesn't really feel safe talking about it. That's probably the best way to talk. Okay, we'll leave that one. The last one, the orchestration of Spirit is trustworthy. Yeah, that's what was just coming through. As much fear as would come up there when I see whatever that is, Spirit has orchestrated it. Spirit is all of us together. The perceived villains and the perceived potential victims. Oh, I'm tired of that lens. Let's stop. The orchestration of Spirit is trustworthy. Spirit is gentle. Spirit knows. Spirit puts all the pieces in place. Spirit sees the loving nature of everyone, no exceptions. Spirit can grant all the skills and abilities everyone needs at precisely the right, quote-unquote, time, just to see the orchestration of it and trust and follow. That's the lens I'm given. And right there, I do feel like this is okay. This huge perceived threat that are almost trying to beat down or delay or stop. In that moment where I can see it's okay, I don't have to try to do that anymore. So it kind of gets exposed how we work against ourselves. We might see something in the world or society or in the environment or something that seems to be else working against us or working against what we think we're all doing here together and waking up together. But it's really only ourselves. We're just scared and trying to stop it. And Spirit can help us see that, whatever metaphors it uses to expose it, and help us release out of that. And that help of noticing, here's where I'm trying to hold stuff back, and then being helped by Spirit in whatever way Spirit does that, to relax into the trust in what Spirit can do for everyone, and how kind and loving Spirit is, that's here for everyone in every moment. And there aren't any exceptions to that. So we are all in very good hands. Okay. Thank you and happy healing.